Hi there, welcome to Taurus-Some Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Taurus energy, and like usual on this channel, we're going to do two rows. The top row is going to be high vibe Taurus energy, the bottom row is going to be a more worldly, shadowy Taurus energy. We all have our dualistic nature, we have our more worldly nature, but we also have our more hopeful, believing, loving nature. Some people could want to make some changes in their life, which is what the high vibe row can talk about, but they might be struggling within themselves about change. Change is always difficult. Might have to leave some habits behind, some vices behind, some jobs, friendships or relationships behind, and some people could be struggling within themselves about that. But at any given moment, there's going to be some people moving forward. They've finished the debate within themselves. Some people are going to move forward in life differently. Some people, the shadowy row can kind of represent that we're going to repeat a pattern of a way of living life or viewing life. And we all heal and grow and mature at different times in life. So, you know, everybody's on their own unique journey. And sometimes when we're ready to move forward in life differently, other people in our life aren't. And, you know, we just accept that everybody's got free will to live their life in a way that they feel comfortable with or that they think is just and fair. We might not think it's just and fair if people are choosing to act in shadowy ways, but anyway, let's go see what's going on. We all tap into Taurus energy, so just listen to where you think you might be in the story, if it seems to resonate at all, and where some other people, based on your intuition, where they might be in the story. The reason for the top row's reading is great gratitude. This is a feminine figure, and the way I read tarot is the masculine figures can represent how we present ourselves in the world. The feminine figures can represent how we really think and feel. Because we live in a world of duality and there's a veil, people can present themselves one way, and internally, emotionally, they can be completely different than they present themselves as, right? High vibe people emotionally are in an energy of gratitude. Life's about learning lessons, and when we're willing to learn the lessons that we were meant to learn from these different phases of life we go through, we're thankful for the lesson. It helped us see something maybe we weren't seeing. It helps us heal and grow and mature ourselves. There might be other people in your life that are grateful that you had been in their life. They might not want to move forward with you the way you want to move forward, but they still could be grateful for the relationship that you had. Other people might be grateful for other things than what you're grateful for. The reason for the bottom row's reading is fragmented energy. I do have another channel. It's called I Alone Fly Tarot. And this was the overarching reason for the reading in Taurus energy. I kind of look at the fragmented energy can be like our shadow nature. We've all got lessons to learn in life. You could look at the puzzle pieces as the lessons that we need to learn. And we all learn lessons at different times in life. Again, you know, are we willing? You know, our shadow nature can be our more fearful, insecure, lazy, wanting what we want, but we don't want to put in work and effort for it. You know, kind of indulging ourselves in what we would probably consider some more immature ways. And sometimes we've learned some lessons that some other people haven't. Maybe some people haven't learned gratitude. Love is what unifies us, so we're not in scattered, fragmented energy. And some people have a lot of lessons to learn. And the scattered energy can represent how we have all these different aspects to ourselves. I have these things I love. I have these things that I'm inspired by. I have these things of the world that I want. I could have defensiveness. You know, just we're a complex people, right? We got a lot of different things that can be true about us all at the same time, even if those things seem kind of opposed to each other, right? And that can be this fragmented energy. And some people haven't learned to love themselves and offer love to all those different aspects of themselves, and compassion and forgiveness. And then it could be whichever mood they're in that day, could be how they act that day. It's kind of like whatever need is the greatest in them on a given day, or a given year, or a given 5 years, could be how they live their life. And it isn't like a unified whole in a way. And we've all been there. We've all had lessons to learn in life. And particular in this picture, it's kind of where the heart is missing. And again, this is a feminine figure. So emotionally, we as human beings, I think that's the hardest lesson to learn. We can go complete all these other pictures of the puzzle. I like this. I don't like this. I like that. I don't like that. I prefer this. I don't prefer that. And we can look to all these things in the world that we want in our life. Sometimes the hardest lesson to learn is to love ourselves. And we can look to all those other things in the world to be the answer. And sometimes people just haven't realized that the key to it is love. And they could look to all these other things in the world. You know, shadowy Taurus can be where we make our life about these other things that are kind of superficial and shallow. It's what I wear. It's what I look like. It's how much money I have. It's how attractive I am. It's these things I do in the community to try to look like a pillar of society. You know, some people make their whole life about those things because that can be how they define their worth and value. That's what makes me valuable. That's what makes me worthy. That's what makes me important. It's like, really? Really? Is it all those things about you that make you important or valuable? Or is it that you're a loving, creative, inspired, intuitive person who's capable of love? You know? And do we really appreciate that aspect of ourselves? Sometimes we disregard our more emotionally intuitive, creative, inspired, loving nature in favor of our being more emotionally attached to our worldly nature. And we make those things of the world be what defines us, makes us feel like we have worth and value. But that's codependent energy, because we're codependent on other people outside of us saying, yes, I agree. Because you wore that, because you wear this, because you have that money, I value you as valuable. Well, what if those people still don't? You know, and somebody's constantly like, no, 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 you have to love me. No, 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 you have to validate my worth and value. And some people are chasing after people who aren't even loving or just or fair, because I need those people to love me. If those people don't love me, then that's what defines my worth and value. I need certain people to validate my worth and value. And some high vibe people are like, I validate my worth and value. If I meet people who are unloving, unkind, unjust, unfair, I don't need those people to validate my worth and value. I don't need them to like me. They're not very, maybe, loving, giving people. So I'm not going to let people like that manipulate me. I'm not going to let the world manipulate me. I'm not going to let my ego and my fear and my insecurity manipulate me. High vibe energy is doing the work to deal with the truth, to offer yourself love and compassion and forgiveness. You are meant, I believe, to be like you're not children anymore. I think we are meant to take over that role of being our own best mother, father, coach, voice to ourselves. High vibe Taurus energy, the Hierophant. A philosophy of life where I offer myself love and compassion and forgiveness. I offer other people love and compassion and forgiveness. I treat others like I treat myself. And it starts within me. To be grateful for life, to be grateful for the lessons I've learned in life, even though some of them could have been very painful. I could have had people who tried to tear my foundation down, who tried to make me stop loving and believing in myself. And if I had chosen to operate and stay in my more prideful, egotistical, pain, heartbreak, it's like someone can kick you to the curb or throw you under the bus, and we could have stayed there, and we might have stayed there for a long time, and it is about learning this lesson. Eventually, all of that kind of could have made me appreciate what I bring to the table. And I don't want to be around people who treat people like that. Treat other people like that. If I was someone like that, I don't want to be someone who treats people like that. Let's go look at the bottom row first. We have peace. We have a card not showing itself, which is the lost card. Optimism, hidden motivations, and transformation. So, with this card not showing itself, the way I interpret that is we can get into friendships and relationships with people because I'm kind of looking at the fragmented energy as kind of like a tower card. We've got healing to do on our own foundation of self. We had lessons to learn. Maybe had to learn to love ourselves. And we tend to hang out with people who are kind of on the same page as us in some degree. We want peace. And a lot of times in our more worldly, shadowy energy, which can be our more codependent energy, instead of us doing the inner work to deal with those regrets of the past, sometimes we don't even know we need to deal with them. Sometimes we do, but we choose to, no, that's not the answer. I don't have to work through that. I know. I'm going to go look to either go indulge in the world or go get in a relationship with someone. That'll make me feel better. That will be the answer to my fears, my insecurities, my loneliness, my lack of self-belief in ourselves. And we all like to be, we're human beings that like community. Nothing wrong with wanting to be in friendships and relationships with people. But sometimes we can get in friendships and relationships with people. We all could have some issues of past pain and heartbreak to deal with. And we could get in a relationship, but sometimes we get in mismatched relationships. Some people are like, oh, we're like on the same page. Let's be in this relationship, and I view you as the answer to my problems. Not like I ever have to deal with these things. So long as you're in my life, or you're loving and nurturing and giving to me, you're my solution to feeling better. And they don't ever plan to deal with some of these issues within themselves. Other people they get in relationships, and because it can be a peaceful, supportive, stable, encouraging environment, it provides a foundation where, some people, once they kind of get some of their more basic needs met, that would be like, if you were to look at the chakra system, that would be like the first chakra in a way, kind of now the second chakra working together with other people, and then the third chakra of life force energy. I do this work within myself, listening to love and intuition to heal. And so that's when we realize in this lost card, which could kind of be like the Five of Cups, we've all had relationships in our life that didn't work out the way we would have liked to have them work out. The only difference is we harness that energy different, where some people are like, right now, I might be looking for a community or a relationship for support and encouragement. But while I'm in that, I plan, even if it's not conscious, it's just some people innately are like, I will do this work within myself to keep healing and growing and maturing myself. That's kind of going with the flow of life, where you heal and grow and mature yourself to free yourself from the things that manipulate you. And we get in relationships though with some people, and they don't ever plan to do that work within themselves. And then they can be in much more codependent energy because they look, some people, their vice is drugs or booze or gambling. For some people, that's not their vice. Their vice is relationships. No, I don't indulge in those things to be the answer to my problems. I look to get in relationships with other people to be the answer to my problems. And they look to you to, if nothing else, to create the illusion. Look, I've healed. Look, I've moved on. Look, I've grown and matured myself. Look who I'm in a relationship with. Like as if they're moving forward in life differently, but they're not doing the work within themselves. But by who they align themselves with, look, I'm more stable and grounded and mature than I was before. Look, I'm not the same person I was before. Because look at who I'm in a relationship with. And again, shadowy Taurus can be, all these institutions of the world. Look at what kind of job I got. Look who I'm friends with. Look who I'm in a relationship with. But shadowy energy can be trying to just create this illusion that people have done the inner work within themselves, but they really haven't. And that is kind of, eventually over time in the relationship, we could kind of realize that, well, we could be offering people love and encouragement, the people we're in relationship with. We could feel are loving and supportive of us, but if we start to transform, which is kind of like the death card in tarot, where we detach from some old ways of viewing life and thinking about life, and we kind of like shed an old layer of ourselves, like a more immature layer of ourselves, to transform our life, where we have shed some of the fears or the insecurities and past pain and heartbreak. And we're doing this work within ourselves to be ready to kind of go to the next phase of life, like we did age 15 to age 18 to age 21 to age 25. We can get in a relationship with someone and they might end up kind of not wanting us to transform ourselves. Like, it was good for them to be in a relationship with you, just like it could have been beneficial for you to be in a relationship with them in a lot of ways. But when it gets to transforming themselves, that's when it can cause more of a disruption within them, because they could have been okay with the relationship just staying like this. So if everybody stayed the same and nobody healed or grew or matured themselves or dealt with their fears or their insecurities, we could have kept doing life like this. And for some people, they kind of get to a phase of life once we become adults in the world. We blend in with all the other adults in the world. We're no longer like, probably everybody's got a job. Everybody's learned how to maybe drive, We've got the basic things that people have in the world. And for some people, that was their drive and motivation to have. And that could be where they're happy living their life. And they don't want to keep facing fears and insecurities and growing and maturing themselves to like grow to their full potential. It's like people who like, I just want to have a job. I just want to have a boyfriend or girlfriend. I just want to get married. It's like, well, what do you plan to do then? It's like, well, nothing. I would have everything I want. It's like, oh, okay. It's kind of like, we're going to do life the way we've always done it. It's like, so you don't ever plan to maybe want to advance in your career and maybe hope that you become a more emotionally mature, compassionate, loving, more deep, meaningful relationship and challenge yourself to become all you can be. It's like, oh, why would I do that? It's just to realize everybody's motivated and inspired by different things. And If the hardest lesson, which I believe is the hardest lesson, is to learn to love yourself, to kind of where your cup of love overflows, you can replenish yourself with love, you can freely give to other people. That's a great, like, life-giving energy to be in. And sometimes we can be a very loving person, but we haven't learned to love ourselves. So then we can kind of get in these mismatched relationships, kind of in our God Savior complex of transformation, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to transform this person. This person is whatever way of being that doesn't kind of seem to be like me, but oh, I'm going to love them and I'm going to nurture them and I'm sure they're going to choose love. Well, they had the free will choice along the path of life to end up to be like you are if they were motivated and inspired by that, but they didn't. And they could be immature or bossy or controlling or prideful or egotistical or defensive to love. So then shadowy energy can kind us being in our ego. There's nothing wrong with offering people love and encouragement and resources to love and believe in themselves. Because love is what helps, is the transformative energy. But maybe learning that we shouldn't get in relationships with people when we know they're not on the same page of enlightenment or emotional maturity, where loving people's default might be I take action more out of truth and love and justice and fairness, and the other people, they might get triggered in their fear and their insecurity and their defensiveness or their pride or their ego, and they'll maybe take action more out of those things. And it's like, it's one thing to offer people love and encouragement, but not get in a relationship with them. Sometimes we're not used to being in relationships with people who treat us the way we treat them. So this is like our comfort zone and we can keep repeating that pattern over and over. But it doesn't really challenge. It might challenge us to be patient with people, but it doesn't challenge us to grow to our full potential because we're not in relationships with people who are on the same page as us. And it brings up where we have to deal with like new layers of fears and insecurities within us. And just like some loving people can like to play that role in people's life, sometimes some more worldly, shadowy people like to play that role in people's life, but they don't want them to heal. I like seeming like it boosts my ego if I can get someone who might have their fear and insecurity and self-learning beliefs to get in a friendship or relationship with me, and then they might grow and heal and mature some, and it might kind of look like, oh my gosh, look like what being in a relationship with me has done for that person. But there's a certain point where they want that person to stop. It's kind of like, no, 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 no. I need you to keep staying in some of your fear and your insecurity and codependency, because if you were to kind of go to a new level of life where maybe then we're on the same level of stability or security or kind of confidence in ourselves, well, then you're going to then the whole dynamic changes. And some people like a parent-child, teacher-student type of relationship. And so then they only like to be in relationships with people who haven't learned to love and believe in themselves. So, we've kind of all been probably in some of those relationships like that where either people don't want us to change, want us to keep living our life in a certain way where, we're never stepping outside of our comfort zone. And I think that is kind of going against the flow of life. And if we keep trying to stay in a cycle of life, why wouldn't we move forward? Why wouldn't we be more bold and brave and confident? Why aren't we challenging ourselves? And I think it starts to wear away at our self-esteem. And we could know some people that either haven't learned to love themselves, do kind of like to maybe be a little more manipulative in a relationship with the hidden motivations card. Might be someone who is either like to be like looked up to and admired in a relationship, or where the scales of justice are kind of tipped in their favor all the time, or are just hiding from people that they got their own issues that they don't ever deal with, and they might want to keep those issues hidden. And say some people did something that was hurtful and unkind to some people, and because of that, some people could have left their life. Well, instead of seeing the truth, because the truth sets us free, we can always be in our pride and ego and hide with the hidden motivations why something ended. And that can be how some people choose to live their life with shadowy energies. I want to stay in denial of the truth. I don't want to see the truth. Did I act in shadowy ways? Was I bossy or controlling or manipulative or prideful or egotistical? Some people, they can make the free will choice. I'm just going to forget about that. Just let that go. I know. Then the optimism is kind of a shadowy, kind of Leo energy. I'm in my ego about dealing with the truth of it. I'm sure I can just get in another relationship. You know? So if we don't see the truth about ourselves, even if that's just I haven't learned to love myself and I'm in codependent energy, we'll go get in another relationship because we haven't learned to love ourselves and we're more in codependent energy. And we'll keep staying in denial of the truth. Or there can be people where they are got some shadowy ways of being, but they don't want to deal with the truth of it because that would require them dealing with the truth of it and then taking action on the truth of it. And they'd rather just stay in denial of it. Maybe the next person I get in a relationship will be okay with the fact that, I'll try to hide the fact that I might be bossy or immature or manipulative or fearful and insecure. I'll just try to hide it from the next person better, or maybe hide it long enough that even if eventually they see it, they won't be willing to end the relationship because in their own pride and ego and fears and insecurities of going and finding a new job, a new friend, a new relationship, maybe they'll just stay in it even though they know that it really wasn't the dream they had for themselves. Shadowy energy can just be we're in our pride and ego, and even though it could seem like, oh, I realize you're not really in this relationship for love. You could have gotten in this relationship because you kind of wanted to create an illusion that you'd healed and you'd grown and you'd moved on. But really, you're the same person you were in the last relationship. The other people could have left, or the other job fired you, or you voluntarily left that before you got fired. But you're the exact same person you were, but I don't want to let go of you, or the people they're in relationship with don't want to let go of them. And then, I don't think initially people are consciously thinking that, but I think as people get more experience in life, it could always be hoping that the people they get in a relationship with will give up what they had wanted to manifest, even when they see that what they were trying to manifest isn't what they thought it was going to be in some regard. They're hoping in their ego nature they'll stay in it anyway and kind of indulge someone who isn't growing and healing and maturing themselves, or acting in high vibe Taurus energy. They're not really who they presented themselves as, and they're really not kind of walking the talk and acting with character and integrity. And they're hoping people will indulge them being that way anyway. Some of you were in some relationships like that. Some of the people who are staying in relationships with that, like that, could be sad that they're missing out on maybe more of a relationship where they could work together with people who work together with them from a foundation of love. But if people aren't willing to illuminate the truth, because the truth sets us free, and why don't we want to illuminate the truth? Because we don't want people to judge us, but that's part of the illusion of shadowy energy. People are judging you anyway, depending on what type of person they are. So let the world judge away based on the type of people they are and live your truth. But, you know, we can all be in our pride and ego about speaking our truth, taking action on our truth. We can all have fears of believing in ourselves, believing in our dreams. And so we can stay longer in a cycle that could have really worn away at us. And sometimes the people we're in relationships secretly are trying to wear away at us and our self-esteem and loving and believing in ourselves. Because if we don't go to the next phase of life, we'll keep staying in friendships, in those jobs, in those relationships. And sometimes that's what people want because it works for them in some way. Just you not living your authentic life and giving birth to something new could make some people happy. You know, because some of these people can be our friends, our family members, not people we can have like a romantic relationship with, but we can have people in our life who are like, I don't want you to work through your issues and go give birth to something new and get the justice you deserve. Not when I'm living my life like this. And I don't plan to change it. It would bother me if you went and had your dreams come into reality when I've maybe already decided this is how I'm going to live my life. Indulging in these things or being in these certain jobs and relationships that maybe aren't aligned with truth and love, but that's what I got aligned with and this is where I plan to stay. And so some people don't realize that even the people they're in relationship with, and they're in denial, not wanting to see the truth, because if they were to see the truth, they'd have to speak the truth and take action on truth. So some people just keep wanting to stay in denial that they're in an unstable foundation, because some of them don't want to end it. Because it does mean they have to go on this journey of being more independent and loving and believing that they can manifest their dreams into reality. Maybe without some of these people being like a core foundation in their life or hanging out with them all the time or something, you know, and having to go find new people to hang out with. And some people will. Just like some of you detached from some of these things and did this work, there's other people right now that could be thinking of getting out of it. You know, well, we'll get to it in the top row. Okay, let's go do the top row. You know, the whole thing is we come into contact with all these different people in the world to figure out what our truth is. And if when we get in these relationships with people, you know, initially we could think, oh my gosh, this I think is everything that I would want. This is how I want to live life. This is the dream. I got it going on, you know? But then as time goes by, you know, again, things are supposed to grow and mature over time. We could realize as time goes by and it kind of gets to be where people have to maybe detach from some old ways of being or ways of viewing life, and for a relationship to grow and deepen over time. That's sometimes when we can see that we kind of are motivated at a core foundational level from different things. Like one might be about ego and image or a little bit more about themselves, and other people could be more about hope and faith and belief and love. And that's when we realize that the truth at a core foundational level of what motivates people. But we can be grateful that, gee, I used to think that was how I wanted to live my life. And now I've come into some insight or understanding or clarity that it could have worked if everybody was willing to keep growing and healing and maturing themselves. But some of the people, or one of the people, or whatever, weren't willing to. And we're just grateful for the fact that it helped me get more clear about my truth. And I'm glad if I did know that some people that I was in a relationship with really weren't on the same page as me. I'd rather know today than next year or 10 years down the road. So grateful that we did see the truth when we did see the truth. And even though it could have hurt, transformation is painful. Detaching from an old way and an old dream and people in our life is difficult. Probably have to go through a mourning process. And then, just having hope and faith and belief in love to help get us through, because love is the answer. So then we have discovery, a card not showing itself, which is kindred partnership. And with it rejected, we could have realized that, even we weren't appreciating what we brought to the table. It's kind of like we are so much more than we think we are. We can all get caught up in the world and in our ego and think these things of the world, that's the answer. That's what'll make me happy. And then we kind of realize that those things are just things, and being in a relationship is a relationship. If it's not something based on that critical component, like you could look at this as maybe someone looking at a crystal, and if you hold a crystal up to the light, then you see the rainbow of colors. It's kind of like we as human beings in a way, kind of like rocks. Like, what things in the world am I going to invest in? And we too could kind of not appreciate our own things that we bring to the table and kind of how valuable and unique they are. And sometimes we don't appreciate and love ourselves and what we bring to the table. And when we, in our more worldly nature, learn to appreciate the fact that we were given these gifts, kind of like our inner child nature of creativity and imagination and hope and love. Some people don't invest time, energy, and effort into those things within themselves, and they do make their life more about the shiny objects in the world is more important to them. And it is like one human being is just like another human being. Well, what do you look like? What do you wear? Blah, blah, And it's just interchanging one for the other. And that's when we can kind of realize that they haven't realized yet that love is what makes it all worthwhile. So we kind of realize that some of the people that there could have been a lot of things we had in common. Maybe we're from the same town, from the same college, same religion, same ethnicity or something, all those kind of things. Taurus Hierophant can represent a lot of those things. And we realize that even though a lot of things that could have drawn us together initially, it wasn't enough if it wasn't really based on love. And it could have seemed like love, it could have talked like love, it could have quacked like love, but we could have realized that some people in their Taurus energy aren't very unified by love yet. And we could have been in relationships with people who operate more from their maybe defensive, egoic nature, or just create a facade, and they're kind of like no substance and spark to them because it is all this mental construct of self that they've made themselves into. Kind of like a narcissist in a way where there's no substance there. It's just all these puzzle pieces of self. I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to act like this. I'm supposed to walk like that, quack like that. That's what makes me a person that people want to be in a relationship with. But there's no heart there. It's like they do all the right things, and that would be high vibe Taurus Hierophant. Like this person who presents himself like a pillar of society, but why do they even do any of the things that they do? Well, because that's what you're supposed to do. And then people view you a certain way, and then you have this reputation or whatever. It's like, what drives and motivates you? It's like having people view me like that. It's like they're so disconnected from themselves emotionally. Have they ever lived their authentic life? Do they really ever go do what they're really driven and authentically motivated and inspired by? Or are they so conformed to the world and people who might have raised them, or just themselves in their own mind thinking this is the way you're supposed to live life, that it has no heart and soul to it? It's like it's missing the magical component of being an official person, having your own creative spark and interest. So there's people that we can love, but we realize that we're really not on the same page. And the victim mentality is like the Five of Pentacles card, which is Taurus energy. It can be really hard to turn our back on some people that we thought we had found that gem in the rough. We thought we had found someone that we could move forward with, but there could be clinging to an old way of viewing life, or their more worldly nature and fearful nature. And we have to be willing to go through this period of feeling left out in the cold, and we might feel, emotionally kind of overwhelmed with the water coming into the house. And in tarot, the water realm can represent our emotions and things like that. And it can feel really overwhelming. Could feel like we're going to drown because, again, that's us kind of being so attached to what we wanted and these things of the world. But we take the lesson. We learn that gratitude is the lesson. And that if we were in relationships where we felt like our dreams weren't going to come into reality with some people, could have felt like people were being manipulative, that people were not wanting us to shine our authentic light in the world and to become all we could be, even could have done hurtful and unkind things to stop you from loving and believing in yourself, to make you feel left out in the cold, and you realized that's not love. Loving people don't do that to other people, so I need to realize that some of these people weren't who I thought they were, and I need to see through the illusion. Sometimes we can cast all of our traits and characteristics onto other people, and they love that. Yep, you just assume I'm like you, and they're not. And then it's kind of like we got to deconstruct all of that to get to the truth. Be willing to see the truth, deal with the truth, and then we are inspired to want to bring our dreams into reality. And we know that love is the answer. So we offer ourselves, we choose to be in life-giving energy every day. I'm going to give myself the things that I wish other people would have given me. I'm going to treat myself with love and encouragement and forgiveness and compassion for the mistakes I've made in life. And when we do that work within ourselves, to love and believe in ourselves and forgive ourselves for the lessons we had to learn and how we needed to get out of our codependent energy and learn to love ourselves, We can also have compassion for people in our life that we could have known throughout our life who weren't as loving or giving or as nurturing as we wish they would have been because they hadn't done this work within themselves. Because in Taurus energy, it does take work. You have to put in work and effort to choose to shed light on the things that we'd rather keep hidden in the dark. And now we can understand why some people in our life didn't do that. When we do it within ourselves, we know how hard it is. And when we do it, we come out being a much more balanced, mature, authentic, loving, nurturing person, because we could have known how we almost gave up. So we understand why other people in our life probably gave up and why they maybe weren't some of the people we wish they would have been in the world. But high vibe people don't want to repeat that old pattern. We've all known people that aren't very just, aren't very fair, aren't very loving, aren't very giving, can be bossy, can be controlling, can be petty, can be envious, can be jealous, can be hurtful, can be unkind. I don't want to repeat that pattern in the world. I want to free myself from that. I am going to put in masculine energy. I am going to put in work and effort to love and believe in myself, because if I don't, I'm going to let my shadowy nature of all these shadowy ways of being consume me and probably run my life into the ditch. And I don't want to be that type of person. I know how it hurt me, and I don't want to be someone in turn who hurts other people. And I also am not going to stay in situations where people aren't being loving and encouraging and supportive. People that are trying to make me stay stuck in something because there's things that manipulate them, and they want me to let those things manipulate me too. But those things are their issues. They're not my issues. They're not, maybe now, maybe they were at one point, but then, we kind of work through our own issues. And then some of the people who are in a relationship got their own things that manipulate them, or people in their life. And then they want us to keep staying in relationship with them not becoming independent of those things. So therefore it ends up being like a third party in our life. And it's like, no. I wish you peace, love, and joy. If you want to keep letting those things or people keep manipulating you, your own shadow nature, or other people in your life, or the world at large dictate to you, and you haven't learned to love and believe in yourself, I wish you peace, love, and joy. I hope you work through it, but until you work through it, I need to keep my distance from you, because you're not acting and treating me in a just and fair and loving way. So loving energy moves forward, is a good leader in the world. The present power card is like harnessing high vibe Taurus, high vibe Aries, high vibe Leo. And maybe with this being an emotional figure over here, maybe it's being aligned in all three of your water sign elements of Cancer, Pisces, and Scorpio. Emotionally, I'm all in on aligning with my more hopeful, believing nature, believing in my dreams, believing in love, wanting to be in deep, meaningful relationships. I've healed. I did this inner work. I saw through how my shadow nature emotionally was stopping me from transforming my life. And I asked myself those questions. Who put all these thoughts in my head? Who put all these belief systems in my head? What is my truth? And when people got to the truth, it set them free to go live their authentic life, being more independent of their fearful, shadowy, worldly nature, to go live their authentic life. So Some people are in the midst of doing this. Some of them are still being manipulated. Others are moving forward. Some are starting to appreciate. What is it that makes it all worthwhile? And what do I bring to it? And I need to work through my own lack mentality to get, and I need to shed light on it so I can free myself from it. But like with the Discovery card, that would kind of remind me of like fire sign energy, and Aries and Leo energy is fire sign energy. You have to even be inspired to want to figure these things out. Wrap your brain around this game of life. And some people don't even have that curiosity. What? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? You know? Let's go enjoy the world, indulge in the world, and, you know, whatever we feel motivated and inspired today is what we're going to go do. It's like, okay. And then, though, they could wonder, like, why does it seem like other people seem more mature than me, more stable than me, more grounded than me, more brave and confident than me? Why do some people seem to, you know, we're the same in a lot of ways, but why do they seem to, like, have gone to higher levels of this video game of life? It's because they didn't keep indulging their more immature nature. And they did the work to be inspired to get to the truth. Kind of reminds me of this poem that I used to have on my fridge for a long time. It's only part of a poem, but it was written by a gentleman called Edgar A. Guess. Yeah, see how bad it is? I think I've had this little piece of paper for like 14 years. But it's called Equipment, and it said, "Courage must come from the soul within. The man must furnish the will to win. So figure it out for yourself, my lad. You are born with all that the great have had. With your equipment they all began. So get hold of yourself and say, I can." But that's trying to get past the victim mentality. And there could be some people right now that, you know, like the rest of us, they went through periods in their life where things didn't work out the way they wanted. Their shadow nature kind of could have gotten the best of them. Then they could have gotten in relationships with people that were happy they didn't love and believe in themselves. And they could just be realizing this, you know, I'm not headed in the right direction. I seem to be declining than increasing. And maybe don't love and believe in myself or think I'm deserving. You know, and their more creative, inspired nature and the energy of love in the world, books, movies, music, people in our life. You know, there's a lot of high vibe energy around that says love and believe in yourself. Temper your fears and insecurities to have new beginnings. Why do we hide behind the mask? Why don't we have some hope and faith and belief in our dreams and commit? Why do we commit to our dark thoughts than untangling our dark thoughts? Why don't we offer our self-love and compassion and forgiveness to ourselves and others to free ourselves from it? Life's supposed to be an adventure to be lived, and it's a journey. And it's about appreciating the different lessons we learn from different people. Even if we learned, oh, if I see people are bossy and controlling, I should keep my distance from bossy controlling people. Ah, thank goodness I learned that lesson. Thank goodness I'm still not as naive and gullible as I used to be. When are we going to learn to love ourselves and maybe get more balanced within ourselves? To go trust our intuition again. You know, some people can be afraid of listening to their intuition because we listened to our intuition before and we got ourselves in some relationships that didn't work out. But the whole reason we could have been drawn and attracted to them was because there was some lesson we hadn't learned yet. And it could have been just to even realize that some people haven't learned to love themselves. Some people do create an illusion. Some people do have hidden motivations. And if we're going to have our divine inheritance given to us, well, are we going to have people like this come in our life and snatch it away from us again? Because we haven't learned to stand up for ourselves and what we believe in? All of these life experiences were to get us to choose to listen to our intuition, that when we see that people in our life aren't who they say they are, or they're not being just and fair and authentic and loving, we stand up for ourselves and say, wait a minute, what's going on here? Why are you acting like that? You know, it's kind of like people testing your boundaries all the time, and the more and more they can get away with, and then it gets harder and harder maybe to stand up for yourself that you think something's unjust and unfair, because you basically were spoiling someone, indulging them in their poor behavior. You know, and we need to stand up, and this whole life experience, if you went through those life experiences, yeah, it would have been nice to just had it all work out the first time. But then it wouldn't have, we kind of had this issues within us that, again, when we really had something that we could have really wanted to, well, with two people both wanting to put in the work and effort, we had these issues here that needed to be resolved before we were ready to appreciate both people, appreciating and having gratitude for people in our life who are, where we don't push them away out of our own fears, insecurities, haven't learned to love ourselves, to get us to the place where we are both people who have learned to love and believe in ourselves, to stand up for truth and justice and fairness to our own shadow nature and with other people in our life. So that when we have relationships with people who have done that same work within themselves, together we both take responsibility for that within ourselves, instead of being a more shadowy, codependent energy. And we are grateful for the loving, nurturing, supportive people we have in our life. And we stand up and we defend them instead of pushing them away or taking them for granted. So what's coming up for people that are in high vibe Taurus energy that they might not see coming up? The Hierophant, because of the Nine of Swords. So the Nine of Swords is Gemini energy, which is about which aspect of myself will I align with. The high vibe people are walking the talk. Why? Because they've given a lot of thought to what is love and what isn't love. What is just and fair? What isn't just and fair? What is more superficial, shallow, and more about ego than love? And I think as you are living your life kind of balanced also between who you say you are in the world is who you really authentically are internally. You're not creating an illusion. You're not trying to present yourself as one way when that's not the truth of who you are. And there's going to be other people in the world who see that you truly are something valuable. You're balanced, you're loving, you're no longer operating from your shadowy nature. You're acting and taking action in truth and love and character and integrity, maintaining good boundaries within yourself, maintaining good boundaries with people in your life. And there's going to be people that are going to want to, you know, the Hierophant represents all these institutions of the world, want to go into business with you, promote you, hire you, be friends with you, date you, marry you. And you're just going to listen to your intuition about different people in the world who you could take action towards, and that could take action towards you to determine why people are wanting to be in a relationship with you. And you've learned to listen to your intuition and not like your lust and your greed and your pride and your ego. Because there will be people who want to be the next person to indulge in a relationship with you or come back and indulge in a relationship with you. Because it's great to be in a relationship with people who are loving and nurturing and just and fair and balanced and encouraging. Yeah, that'd be great for their ego and their image. Make them look like they're a boss in the world. But that could be why. And you're going to listen to your intuition. Who is really who they say they are? Who really has healed? Who really has gotten out of their victim mentality? Or because who wants to come be in a relationship with me because the people they were in a relationship with made them feel left out in the cold. They're still in scattered energy, but now they just want to be in a relationship with a more emotionally mature or loving person. Who wants to be in a relationship with me because they feel like they don't have the status or the image or the money or the stability in their life? Who has worked through those issues within themselves to be authentic? And who's trying to appeal to my more worldly, lustful, greedy, prideful nature? And who's really someone who walks the talk? What's coming up for people? And it's just because we have the world of duality that you have free will choice. And some of you could have already had some people, and you're like, no thanks. Are you kidding? Especially if it was well, you would know if it's happened to you. And you're like, no, I am way past that phase of life. No, thank you. And, so maybe now if you've had a few of those things in your life, it's shown that you're ready for the real deal. Who's coming up? If you're not already in it, some of you already took action to communicate your truth to other people. And some of you are already in that new job, new friendship, new relationship. For others, it's saying, that you will find those people. And you're currently moving forward with the people in your life who do walk the talk. What's coming up for the more worldly, shadowy people that they might not see coming? Okay, well, we have the Empress energy because of the Queen of Wands in reverse. So for one thing, we all could have operated more from our more worldly, egoic nature. And we thought it was just and fair. The Empress energy is Libra, Taurus energy. Emotionally, we're all kind of brought up in the world. And we hadn't learned to kind of love and appreciate ourselves and shining our own light and listening to our intuition. So we could have gotten in those relationships. But over time, people got out of their more worldly, egoic nature and they put in this work and effort emotionally to get more balance within themselves. And they're no longer in their ego about these more worldly things. And some of the people in their life are shocked because the high vibe people are ready to give birth to something new. They're no longer the Queen of Wands in shadow can kind of represent the other man, other woman, or our shadow nature. The high vibe people did this work within themselves to love themselves. And they're rejecting their more shadowy, egoic nature. And that means they're also detaching from people in their life who at one time they could have been in relationships with and offering love to and trying to work with, but they're done because the other people are still aligned with their more worldly, egoic nature. And some of the shadowy people in your life don't understand how you're doing this because they can't relate. And the way you're doing this is you're detaching from harnessing these energies in a shadowy way. And the people in your life that you knew harness those energies in a shadowy way, you are willing to cut them out of your life and distance yourself from them. And that's part of the reason why some of these other people aren't moving forward with you. Because they're not willing to do that emotional work within themselves to get themselves more in balance. And they have people and ways of being that they need to cut out of their life that they're not willing to. The Seven of Wands, the Judgment card, and the Two of Swords. When you thought it was more just and fair to live your life a certain way, you used to defend that. And you were not listening to your intuition. You had decided in the Judgment card, that this was your truth at that point in time. But you saw the truth of it. It wasn't growing and maturing and healing you over time. It was like investing in something that was a lie. And the devil, our shadow nature, represented by the devil, lies. Invest in all these things, indulge in all these things. It's just like love, you'll be happy. You don't have to learn to love yourself. You don't gotta heal from past pain and heartbreak. Just do these things, you'll be happy. And you realize that was a lie. And you stood up for yourself and what you believe in, and you called judgment on staying in denial of the truth to listen to your intuition. Not your fear, not your insecurity, not your worldly egoic nature. I was given intuition as a gift to help me guide myself in this life. And my intuition is telling me if I don't get out of this, I'm living my life in a way that's tearing me down, or I'm aligning with people who don't have my best interest at heart, who don't want me to heal and grow myself to my full potential. They want me to stay in stuck, stagnant energy for their own reasons that they have. And I'm going to stand up for myself, and I'm going to call judgment on those people, and I'm going to listen to my intuition. And these other people don't stand up for themselves and listen to their intuition. Because in their Libra-Taurus energy, they think it's just and fair to make their life, to keep building their life on this unstable foundation. This is the truth. It's not supposed to be about love. It's not about loving and believing in ourselves. No, these things will make us happy. And they have some lessons to learn in life that some other people have already learned, and sometimes those things that we make so important in our life that we are sure if we indulge in them, if we have enough of it, it'll make us happy. It becomes like an addiction. The things of the devil are those things that we so badly want to believe it's true because we don't want to have to work through some of the things we'd rather keep hidden in the dark. And we also might not want to illuminate the truth or speak the truth or take action in truth, because then people would know that we made a mistake. Shadowy energy can be people who are in their pride and ego. I don't want to admit I made a mistake. I'm just going to keep living this illusion. I'm going to keep not listening to my intuition. I'm going to keep making it about me or my ego or my image or these things I want to indulge in. And they're probably going to have other people that are going to want to be in a relationship with them because they want those things too. The high vibe people are harnessing like high vibe Libra Taurus energy. They think it's just and fair in their free will to choose love, to give birth to new things, to step out of their comfort zone, face their fears, love themselves. And the other people are like, no, I want to be surrounded by these things in the world and these luxuries in the world or be indulged. I think that'll make me happy. And they're going to have other people who are going to want to be in a relationship with them because they also might have some lessons to learn, just like some of you did. They also might not be listening to their intuition. If they get in a relationship with another person who has hope and faith and belief in love, well, the same scenario is going to play out again. If they get in a relationship with someone who's like themselves, well, then we have two people that might be more about ego and image and money and materialism, who defend living their life that way, who don't want to be judged, who, by getting out of it, because those things of the world are so important to them. What they don't realize is all those things could be taken away from them. Because God's ultimately in control, and some people got to hit rock bottom to see the truth that you aren't what you own, what you wear, what you drive, how much money you have. If you do think that, these things of the world can be taken away in a heartbeat. You're probably not gonna be in very good shape. But other people can go on because they never gave those, we want and like those things in our life, but that isn't the definition of what makes them valuable or important. So, there we go, Taurus energy. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.